I have a dream where the powerful and the powerless will sit at the same table, where the haves will see the have-nots, not as burdens, but as brothers, where class will not divide us, but conviction will unite us. I have a dream that the oligarchs will remember we must all eat, that the brown-faced neo-colonialists will remember who they are and whose they are. I have a dream that fraternities will build beyond internal architecture into a national bond, that the walls of design will give way to the bridges of brotherhood, not a fraternity of symbol, but a brotherhood of substance. I have a dream that we remain focused, that we stay in our conviction and remain fearless, that we double down, fortified, to return this Bahamaland to the foundation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is a Friday evening. Bam! Warm and easy selector. Grateful to be in your company. Always grateful to jam with you on this beautiful day out here in the neighborhood. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Always grateful to jam with you. Always grateful to be here. Gotta let you know a little something, man. This is from Michigan and Smiley. Jamming. It's a Friday evening. Hope you guys are getting prepared. This is the last month of the quarter. And my wife is reminding me every day. The woman birthday this month. I just want to be clear with you. The woman birthday this month. And so she's reminding me every single day that this is her birthday. And in the midst of her birthday, she need me to know that I got to get myself prepared in a particular manner. This is too much. I said, baby doll, your mother wasn't in labor for all this time. You was trying to kill her. How your birthday could start from the beginning of March. You ain't till the 12th. Every March I got to... Listen, my daughter born on the 16th of March. I know I tell you all this before, but I got to remind you. My daughter's born, she was born on the 16th of March, 2008. 16th of March, 2008. Listen to me. Let's be very clear about something, okay? Let's be clear about something, eh? She mad that she got to spend this month and share this month from a household standpoint with anybody else. She won't commandeer the entire March for herself. I'm not going to fight her. I mean, okay, baby doll, it's your birthday, whatever the case may be. But your mother wasn't in labor all this time. You need to calm down. At least we could start the party when the labor pains start. At least we could start the party when the labor pains start. My birthday start. It's March. It's my birthday. I said, okay, baby, I'm not going to fight you. March come in, we didn't buy in gifts. Jesus, Lord, this is too much. I'm not going to fight her. I love her very much. I hope that she's well. I hope that, I got to get some things done for her birthday as we continue to be out here and do some stuff. Well, guys, I'm in your company again and being able to jam with you. This is The Foundation. I'm Howard Grant. If you're just tuning in, make sure you like and you share. Send the situation all around. Let persons know exactly that we're jamming, where we are jamming. And we're talking about national issues. We're talking about where we are from a national standpoint, being able to dissect these things and identifying whether or not there is a particular course that has traveled to be able to remind you or to keep you stable, steady, and sunken in this kind of a proverbial place. But oh my God, like Bishop will tell you, get out, get out, get out. Like Bishop will tell you, get out. Yeah, you don't want to stay in your sunken place. You don't want to stay in that kind of a space and position where there's trial, there's tribulation, there's all these particular things. Let's be decent. Let's be decent. And in the midst of that decency, we got to be able to talk about these things. As we look at this, there's some things that are happening out here, and this is the revival of a generations-long conversation that has been swept under the rug in Grand Bahama, more specifically. Can we say this? Can we talk like this today? Let's talk like this today. This is The Foundation, guys. I want you to be able to be a part of what we're doing. 827-0111, 827-0111. If you want to be able to jam with us and be a part of what we're doing. 827-0111. Let's talk about this now. Let's just be very clear. This is a generations-long conversation that has been swept under the rug. Almost 2 generations. In Grand Bahama. Nobody move, nobody get hurt. That's essentially what was happening in Grand Bahama for a very long time. For a long time, we've existed in Grand Bahama with this sort of a posture, prospect, position that says, nobody move, nobody get hurt. Nobody move, nobody get hurt. That was a concept and idea that existed in Grand Bahama for a long time. A long time.
Well, this one called the volcano eruption.
You remember this? It's Friday. Take a little taste.
Nobody move, nobody get hurt.
Hey.
Nobody move,
You remember this?
nobody get hurt. The youth them just are dressed up in a white collar shirt.
Hey.
And some of them wear till it resemble dirt.
Uh-oh.
He said he want me to join the army.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're jamming today. We're having a very clear conversation. This has been the posture of Grand Bahama for a very long time. Nobody move, nobody get hurt. Talk to me. This has been the posture of how we existed in Grand Bahama for a very long time. Nobody move, nobody get hurt. And Brave Davis decided to move. Brave Davis decided to move. Lyndon Pinland made the first move. He threw the first blow for the Bahamian people. Insulted, embarrassed, and brought shame upon the oligarchs, those financiers, those elevated men and women in a time when this was absolutely socially taboo, and it showed a level of ingratitude that we just gave you an opportunity, you Negro. Why didn't you just keep still and allow us to do as we please? How dare you? And this is what happens when you give Negroes power. Conversations that happen in those smokers' room. That's why you can't give a Negro nothing. Conversations that will happen in the back room. Somebody probably perpetuated the idea that these monkeys, conversations that happen in the back room. I'm sure that everybody didn't carry those sentiments. But if you was in the back room, you heard that. And these back rooms didn't belong to us. These back rooms, these smokers' rooms belong to the oligarchs. Hello? Can we talk? How are we talking? The rooms belong to the oligarchs. The rooms belong to the men and the women.
me one time. Give it to me. Lord, it him. Nobody move. Nobody
Mic check, mic check, mic check.
Nobody move. Nobody get
Mic check, mic check. Mic check. I keep hearing static in the line. Please forgive me. I'm trying to figure out which one of these have the static. Mic check, 1, 2, mic check, mic check, mic check. One of these. Yeah, one of these got a little static in the line. But anyway, let's talk about this. Now, for a long time in Grand Bahama, and y'all don't want to talk like this, and y'all don't want to have this conversation, and y'all don't want to make these people who have stood over us for a very long time and led our island in Grand Bahama more specifically into a position of profitability for them themselves, their families, their shareholders, so forth and so on, whilst we get meager. The meager means of being able to be affiliated, associated, and merely surviving. Nobody won't talk like this. It's okay. It's okay. It's uncomfortable. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Hey, listen, it is okay. It is okay. It's okay. You don't want to talk like that. It's okay. I don't have a problem with it. I have a personal relationship. Hoping to be able to build that relationship. I don't know if it'll happen now because I'm lending commentary to this particular position and being able to talk about that. But I've always been hoping to build a relationship with the Grand Bahama Port Authority and lend my influence in one way or another in that particular direction. What influence you have is with the white people looking at me saying, what influence you have? No. Well, hey, listen to me. It's your business. I'm not going to fight you. I'm from Grand Bahama. I'm from 8 Mile Rock. I have a vision for the particular space, and I'm able to articulate, design, and be able to perpetuate and push out, project an idea, a vision, a goal that you have. Hey. You use other men in different spaces to do the exact same thing, and they were non-productive, and you champion and rallied them. Oh, my God. For the tokenization that existed in that particular space. Hey, you all don't want to talk like this. This is uncomfortable. Nobody move, nobody get hurt. It's a concept and idea that existed in Grand Bahama for a long time. Since 1969, with the introduction of the Borco, Bender Bake speech, the relationship between the Progressive Liberal Party and the Grand Bahama Port Authority was strained. And because of political politeness, there has not been an articulated position on the uncomfortable state that existed in 1969. Somebody talk to me. There has been political politeness and social genuflection and acknowledgement, but there has been no come to Jesus moment with an issue that ruffled the feathers of investors, of shareholders, of leaders of the Grand Bahama Port Authority, with the introduction of what they did in a time that a Negro was to be seen and not heard. We were supposed to have a good Negro Prime Minister, but he chose to be able to speak on behalf of the people. A people, mind you, who were responsible for the development of Freeport itself, that took it from the pine yard and took it to a place of prosperity. Not for us. We benefited. We were not the beneficiaries. We benefited as a result of the environment. This is what it is. Yeah. It's just what it is. We benefited as a result of these, but there was no strategic, specific inflection, idea to be able to create an environment to execute for us, black people. It wasn't. And in 1955, there was no qualms. 1955, at the signing of the Hawksbill Creek Agreement, There was no qualms. There was no indifference. The UBP or the white oligarchs that existed in the space during this particular time had no objection to this. You could read the story about the concepts and ideas of what was introduced to those persons by Wallace Groves, and they bought into it in 1955. 10 years later, everything changed. By 64, there has been a transition with the acquisition of this particular position, and the country had started to change. By 69, everything had already gone to hell in terms of what was set up in 1955. It was etched, signed, with a very clear understanding that governments are continual, but we will continue the white reign of the oligarchs in this particular space, and you're going to be okay. Don't worry about that. And so they established those particular pillars that was associated with being able to ensure that we could have the level of reign that we expect and that we anticipate and that we are comfortable with and that we're familiar with. They established, they're seeking to establish and to drive those pillars into the foundation of Freeport. And in driving those pillars into the foundation of Freeport, there was no expectation that an external entity, a black man who sits in the position of leadership in this country, subconsciously that existed in those particular person's head, that this is merely tokenization. This is a Negro leader that, this was just for formality purposes. He is doing as we say. That was the expectation. It was the expectation. The little Negro do as we say. And wielding his power activated by his compassion for people. As his power is activated and recognizing the importance of being able to, as he's bombarded in Grand Bahama, bombarded with people being able to say, well, boss, they did this contract, and boss, they didn't do that, and they were supposed to give me this, and I ain't get this, and this is how they set the contract up, and we can't come here late at night, and we can't do this, and we can't do that. He said, damn it, it's bend or break. This ain't got no soul. Grand Bahama ain't got no soul. The soul was the implication of a darker hue, a flavor that we offer in any space that we go in the black diaspora. A flavor, a salt that we bring in any space that we go throughout the black diaspora. If we go in Ireland, in Scotland, in Germany, in Qatar, in Norway, there is a flavor that we bring with us, authentic. The authenticity of who we are was void in Grand Bahama. It was present from a visual standpoint, but the representation of application, the feel, the spirit was dampened. And our prime minister at the time said something. He said something. And in the midst of what he said, there was an emotional reaction. From 69 all the way to beyond 73. There wasn't a level of contentment in Grand Bahama, if I'm honest with you, with this level of contentment in Grand Bahama until about 92. When they found someone who should do as they said and as they desired. Y'all don't never want to talk. Y'all always, oh, Jesus Howard, oh my God. It's the damn truth. It is the truth. It is the truth. Y'all scared of the truth. These men are going to die just like us. Set the flipping record straight. Set the record straight and stop lying. Stop lying. Who the hell be lying to? You know, I know, all of us know the information is there. We could still access the information. The people still living. We could ask them. You ain't scared. You're scared to ask them. Oh, well, just leave that sleeping dog dead. Well, what about us? We must lay under the dog I live in. Now I live in a space that all I could smell is death because you won't allow sleeping dogs to lie. God Muhammad didn't find it's flourishing. Let's do something. Let's do something. I can do something right now. Let's read this. I need y'all to hear something. I need y'all to be a part of this conversation, and I need you to grow some cojones. Amen? Stop being afraid to have a real conversation. Stop lying to yourself about these things, and let's be clear. Stafford Sands, Stafford Loft House Sands, September 23rd, 1913, January 23rd, 1972, he died. January 23rd, 1972, he died. Stafford Sands was the former Minister of Finance of the Bahamas in 1964 to 1967, who held other high positions in the Bahamas until his self-chosen exile in 1967. Hailed as the father of tourism, he scrambled. Hold on now. Let's pick up some more stuff. I really wish I could find a way to project this on the screen. I got to figure out a way to project these things on the screen. I want you to be able to see this. Let's read a little bit about his legacy. It said he's credited with being the architect of Bahamian post-war prosperity and has been dubbed the father of tourism in the Bahamas. He allowed organized crime to unfold activities like money laundering and helped establish offshore banking on the Bahamas. It says his portrait appeared in 10 Bahamian note dollars from 2001 until 2005, and again since 2010, while it was replaced with Queen Elizabeth. This is information. This is his personal life and death. Let's read that. Sands permanently left the Bahamian Islands for exile to Spain. Along with his considerable fortune, he sold all of his holdings, including Waterloo establishment on Nassau's East Bay Street and his father's interest in City Market supermarket chain to Winn-Dixie. He died at London Hospital of bone cancer. After 4 months in hospital, he was 58 years old. He survived by his second wife, Eula, Lady Sands, and one daughter. Stafford Sands didn't want nothing to do with Negroes. Let's go back. Lyndon Oscar Pending reign. Let me fix this. Let's look for his bio. Lyndon Oscar Pending bio. Click on it. Lyndon Oscar Pending. I want you all to see something. 1967, Stafford Sands decided to leave the Bahamas for good. He sell everything. He said, I don't want a damn thing. He's gone. I don't want nothing to do with y'all. He's gone. Lyndon Oscar Pinland, he was born in 1930 and died in 2000. He was a Bahamian politician who was the first prime minister of the Bahamas from 1969 to 1992. 1969 to 1992. Pinland was registered, regarded, I can't see this. Pinland was regarded by some as the father of the nation, having led the Bahamas to majority rule and independence. Let's do this. Pinland was the Lyndon Pinland Premier. Let's read this, because he was the premier before he was actually the prime minister. Let's read this. Let's read this. He became the prime minister in 1967. Guys, let me take this quick commercial break. We got some information right here I want to be able to get to you. I'm getting somewhere with you. I want you to be able to see that, and we can be able to do this, okay? So this thing can be 4 minutes. This can be just a quick commercial break. I got to give somebody something. Please forgive me, okay? 2 seconds. All right? Quick commercial break. We getting somewhere with this.
Taking Bahamian music to the world.
This DJ
Sampler, hit that subscribe button like a goatskin drum.
Hello, Ricky, it's Johnny Gate. Man, listen, don't believe they're trying to keep us locked down. They want us to go inside the kill man, till I just break it straight, man, I see music. You know why they go, you know when they go there, it's kill man. Watch this. When the music plays, I'm the first one to dance. Sexy gal gon' whine on me, while my rum in my hand. Reggae spread so sweet, don't think you understand. I go in to mash up the place every time I go by the farm. I always get catch, drinking till I lose and I wet. Nobody gon' watch me if I kill bad and I sweat. On your market set, drunk but I ain't face sample of mercy, mothers.
It's 3 a.m. and I'm waiting for the sun. Lost track of the days, my luck, this ain't no fun. Cell phone in my left hand, TV on my right. My mouth action dry, 'cause there ain't no rum inside. Longing for the days when I was wild and free. Out to everything was lit, not a care or worry. Now it's like I've joined the clan of HMP. But I ain't commit no crime, so please set me free. Loose me, let me go. I don't want to be inside no more. Loose me, let me go. This is killing me, that's for sure. So let me out, let me out, let me out, yeah, let me out. Loose me, let me go. I don't want to be inside no more. Loose me, let me go. This is killing me, that's for sure, yeah. Mothers, they say we on lockdown? When we went to that, I'm tired, yeah. Life inside ain't as easy as it seems. Sit back, let me tell you exactly what I mean. The children stay fighting, they up everything. I'm working like a slave while he sits up like a king. Can I help you? You sit and rest. Come here, baby, let me feel upon your breast. Mine is a nightmare, this ain't the life for me. I ain't commit no crime, so please just set me free. Loose me, let me go. I don't want to be inside no more. Loose me, let me go.
Let's get back to it, ladies and gentlemen. We're jamming. Please forgive me for that quick interruption. We were supposed to be able to take a break in any event. Now we're getting somewhere with this, and I want to be able to have this kind of a clear conversation. I want to get to the comments that Rupert Hayward would have made in the papers today to talk about a populist rhetoric, which is a very strong thing for me to say. But I didn't need to kind of set the ground first. I got to set the ground for you to be able to have a very clear understanding. Now, I told you that in 1969, the prime minister of the country at the time, right, Lyndon Oscar Pinling, would have stood up in the front of Borco. He was the premier. I can read some stuff to you. Let's identify some stuff, and let's be able to identify that the sections of when this happened, right? So let's look at the timeline and make sense of these particular things. Now, I've already said to you that in 1967, we would have actually seen Stafford Sands leave the country. Some things have happened from 1964. With the juncture and the introduction of 1964 into the Bahamas, what happened is it became a watershed moment. A lot of things had shifted, and blacks had an opportunity to be able to access leadership in the country. And so things had shifted significantly. Now, Lyndon Pinling sat in his position. Let's get this information in correct so we can be able to be as accurate as possible as we're giving this information. Right? Hold on now. Let me just save this before I lose this. Hold on. Let me save this so I could be able to get back to you and give you the chain of events. Because there's a lot of things that have happened in this country, more specifically in Grand Bahama, where leadership exists in this particular capacity, white leadership. Let's just be clear about it. This is not a white and black issue. However, there has been an indifference that has never been resolved from 1969 between the Port Authority and the PLP. Now, nobody can say this. Nobody can have this conversation. The Port Authority is not going to come forward and say this. There is an indifference that exists between these organizations, the PLP and the Grand Bahama Port Authority, that existed from being slighted all the way back to 1969. 1969. Anybody in their 50s wasn't even born. Those of us who are responsible for the economic, financial, spiritual, and other growth of the country, who's budding in strategic areas, was not even born. Those of us who are being placed in strategic positions for growth and development to identify ourselves, we wasn't even here. 69. Borko. We meet Borko here. We born with tar on our lungs if you're born in Pindus Point. You meet Borko here. You didn't know how to be comfortable without smelling the smog of burning tar in the air. Something felt off. Something felt off. I don't smell the tar today because that has been a familiar thing for you since you was born. You're born with tanks around your house. You don't know nothing but this. Let's just shoot straight. You don't know. You don't know nothing about the indifference that existed in these places. All we do is carry on smartly. That's all we do in our society. We have casual conversations about it on the outskirts of Freeport, outside of those particular areas and areas that we believe that the influenced or the influencers exist. Yeah, we talk about it, but no one says anything about it. They're too chicken to talk about it. They scared. Oh, you don't know what these white people can do. What they can do? Rupert don't know about it. Rupert don't know about it. Rupert is defending something. He's defending the honor of his last name, his position, and what he believes is being slighted as an individual. But Rupert's defending his position also of his family's name. He don't know nothing about the relationship that happened in 69. Rupert wasn't born in 69. He wasn't even being thought of in 69. He wasn't here. I don't know how old Sarah is, but I don't think she was here. Let's just shoot straight. 1969, Bender Braid speech. Lyndon Pinlin speak the thing. Bang. 1969. Bender Braid speech. Lyndon Pinlin. Bam. An existence that existed in there. An indifference that existed there. Okay? After the 1969 speech, what happened just 2 years before that is Stafford Sands took on a very strong position and say, I'm gone. I'm leaving the country. No black man can do nothing for me. That is the articulation, the information that has been seared into my brains and the conditioning from when I was a child. They tell me why Stafford Sands is gone, and this is the reason why Stafford Sands is gone. He ain't want no black man over him, and he ain't doing such and such and such, and he gone. Now, there's information from our website that I've just found, and being able to find out more information about Stafford Sands, and they tell me the website is called Prezi, Prezi. All right. .com, Prezi.com. And this is a transcript. It says, leaving the Bahamas. Now, I got to turn this sideways because I can't see this. Let's try it. I can't see this. Anyway. Yeah, it's gray and gray, right? But anyway, read it up. Prezi website, right? So despite the many rumors that have been circulated about why Stafford Sands has left the islands of the Bahamas, the truth is that around this, the website, Prezi, truth is that around 1969 election, he was not a well man. He was sick. 1967, he was sick. All right, the 1967 election, he was sick. He was a chain smoker. He suffered from a serious bronchitis condition. And in April of that year, 67, he spent 6 weeks in Miami for treatment of his problem. That was 3 months before he announced his resignation from the House. But soon after the PLP became the government in January of that year, a reign of terror had started against Stafford Sands. Isn't this crazy how people just manipulate things for themselves? A reign of terror. A reign of terror. One thing but paper now. I can let you lay down. I can move. You could put anything on that damn paper. A reign of terror. I'd like to know more about that reign. See, there was rumors. See that? You say it's a reign of terror, then you come back and you tell me it's rumors. It's too much. Is it rumors or is it damn reign of terror? It's too much. This is the website telling me this now. It's the website. Okay, let's go. It says there were rumors of them leaving their homes, but his wife declared that to be false and said that they were going to continue residing in Waterloo. 5 years after his resignation, Stafford Sands died of cancer in the London clinic in England. But despite the hate and judgment being passed upon him by his fellow Bahamians that he had so much hope and love for, mother's sick. What is this garbage I'm reading? Jesus, I break my phone. What is this garbage these people is just be putting on papers? Why don't you just put the damn truth on the paper, let me read the paper and make a determination for myself? Huh? You tell me the reign of terror, then you tell me it's rumors. Then you tell me his wife say we ain't leaving. Then you tell me it's judgment, man. What you trying to do? What you trying to do? Let me read something else. What are these people? PREZI.com. Garbage. Garbage. Let me read something else, yeah? So, I'll go by what my history books tell me. He didn't want to be ruled by no black man. Let's just be very clear about this. Okay? He left in 1967. Sick or not, he left the Bahamas, sold everything, sold Waterloo, all his daddy investments, got up and left the Bahamas. Said he will never return because obviously he knew that he couldn't return. Let's look at Lyndon Pitten's introduction into politics entirely. Lyndon Pinckney entered frontline politics in 1953 when he joined the newly formed Progressive Liberal Party at the PLP as a legal advisor. Some of the key milestones in the early political career include 1953, he joined shortly after the returning to Nassau. 1956, he was elected to the House of Assembly for the Southern District of New Providence and became the parliamentary leader for the PLP. 1965, he gained national attention for Black Tuesday, as he threw the mace out of the thing, right? On April 27, when he threw the Speaker's mace out of the House of Assembly's window. And 1967, led the PLP to victory, becoming the first black premier of the Bahamas. He later became the first prime minister of an independent Bahamas in 1973. And he retired in 1997. Lyndon Pinckney. Lyndon Pinckney won. After he won, he was recognized as the first black premier with all pleasantries and being able to have proper leadership in the country represented in these particular spaces, bringing an oil refinery down, coming down to these particular spaces. Boom, he introduces and then has a speech that goes contrary to what this occasion required. We didn't require you to come here and talk all our internal business, sir, and the indifference that exists in here. You should have just said what you should have said. You know what you're supposed to do. Come here, smile, cut the ribbon, barcodes open, drink some champagne, let's leave. What the hell is this black man doing? He insulted us. He embarrassed us in front of all of these oil tycoons and multi-billionaires and people with old money. You know, we have a desire to be able to get in place with these things, but in 1967, they want to know, well, why you can't keep your Negro in place. They could keep theirs in place. Huh? Yeah. And in the United States of America, they could keep theirs in place. Fred Hammond making noise, bomb, let's take him out. Martin Luther making noise, bomb, let's take him out. Malcolm X making noise, bomb, let's take him out. They knew how to keep their Negroes in place. And to come to this kind of a space where there is liberty for a Negro, I don't know whether or not we're going to do any business with him. Subconsciously, that could have been floating up and down in these people's head. We don't know. All we know is there was a reaction that existed a generation long and still has a pinch, if not a sting, in the Grand Bahama Port Authority. You got to let this flipping thing go. This is done. This is done. This is done. This is done. And the advisors that is advising in the back of being able to because he has the responsibility of being able to uphold his father's name, his grandfather's name. He's a Haywood. He got to do this. He got to do this. This is his job. I'm not fighting him. He got to do this. But this is not who he is. Come on now. This is not who Rupert is. Come on now. Y'all ain't want to talk to me. Rupert is an environmentalist. He's an activist. He's a conservative. He has a desire to be able to see the growth and development of society. He's an inclusive guy. He's about equality. He's about equity. He's about opportunity. As an individual, this is who Rupert is. This position that he's taken is a position that existed based upon a sword that was on the ground when he walked in the room. When he walked into the room of leadership, after he would have come from, I think he was in London, being able to watch over a soccer team that they actually have interest in London also, being able to be given this opportunity and come in there. When he walked in there was blood on the ground and a damn dagger there also. He didn't know what he walked into. He's learning this as he's going. But there are gatekeepers at the Grand Bahama Port Authority that will be able to inform him, remind him, and require him to defend this particular space with honor. Even if you got to die like a samurai and inject yourself with your own sword, we can die with honor if we got to die. And that's what's happening here. This indifference that the PLP, see, because this is only a PLP issue now. This ain't no FNM issue. It's only a PLP issue. When the FNM in, Grand Bahama Port Authority is flourish and find ways to be able to do things and get a level of incorporation, and they're optimistic and opportunities actually blossom and things happen for Grand Bahama. Just like when O.B. Wilch came in West Grand Bahama. Sunjet come, Gin start to revive, different projects coming, this one doing this one doing that. Yeah, there are individuals that activate productivity in these particular spaces. That's just what it is. You gonna fight me or you gonna fight me, that's your business. That's what it is. That's what it is. Like it, lump it. That's what it is. When the FNM is in, when the FNM is in, the Port Authority finds favor, and their approach to being able to do some of these particular things is more favorable. Let's be clear about this now. Let's be clear about this. They come up with concepts and ideas to be able to ensure that they could be able to undergird and take care of some things that's more favorable. The Free National Movement ensures that they created an environment that foreigners, oligarchs, the uber rich in our society can be able to move forward. They don't ever want to say this. They don't want to talk like this. And these younger politicians will come with this sort of this exuberance and this tenacity to be able to say that you're wrong, but they haven't done their history. They're sitting down here and having conversations about they're for the poor, and that's not what the Free National Movement has been. That's not so. That's not so. That's not so. That's not so. That's not the history of the Free National Movement. We're not talking about the conditioning of what your mother and your father and your grandauntie say about why we is PLP, why we is FNM. We're talking about the history that exists on paper. The information that exists here that's not spitting out of the mouth of those persons who seek to be able to manipulate your mind to make you move in one direction or another. We're talking about undeniable facts that exist on paper. And the facts that exist on paper and that you can be able to tell from the annals of time and history is that the Free National Movement has created an environment to always ensure that they can bolster and provide an opportunity for those persons of a lighter hue and of expensive caviar taste that they had money. That's just what it is. You could hate it, or you could love it, or you could fight. 827-0111, we could row. If whatever you want to do, let's do that. But this is what it is. Now, Rupert out here had to pick up a sword simply because he took this job. This is not who Rupert is. And every prime minister Listen to me. Hubert Ingram came in 1994, signed a deal to ensure that we could extend the Hawksbill Creek Agreement without making modifications. Did not even put an escalator in the contract. Y'all can talk to me, you know. Y'all can talk to me. My God, where my antenna is, where my Indian, my damn antenna. Y'all can talk to me, you know. Y'all can talk to me. Hubert Ingram signed a contract to indicate that y'all can give us $500,000 a year in 1994. In an environment that was rich and things were happening and these things, you take no consideration for inflation, take no consideration for the modification of time and ensuring that these particular things happen, indicated that we would give you $500,000 a year for 5 years, and after that 5-year period, we'll have to come to a particular agreement, and that agreement that we'll be able to make a determination at that juncture what we would do going forward. He was the prime minister in 1997, 98, 99, 2001, 2002. Never revisit the agreement. Never asked the people for their money. Never did anything, allowed the thing to happen. And the only thing he did was fight with Hans Barbach in 2007. Didn't when he come back the second time after he tell Tommy, well, the people said they want me, they didn't want you. And he found his way, finagled his way, wiggled his way back to leadership. Still didn't rectify the issue. Didn't create an escalator in the contract, didn't go back to the table to negotiate these particular things and indicate that as a result of these things, there was an expectation now. Listen, getting to 2007 would have seen the devastation that happened in Grand Bahama in 2004 with Francis and Jean, and still did not make any modifications with the Grand Bahama Port Authority to require a higher percentage of being paid. Didn't hedge this deal. He fixed the deal, but he didn't hedge the deal. Let's just be very clear. He could have locked this deal in of 10% annual growth or biannual growth. This is only a deal. It's only paper. We're writing it on. You agree, I agree. We get 10% over what our last agreement was, or the last. So if you get $500,000, $500,000 for 94. 95, you get $500,000. You get 10% of the $500,000 increase. We could do that. Okay, that ain't nothing to talk about. 10% is $50,000. So at 95, 96, you get $550,000. 97, you get $550,000. Then you get 10% of the $550,000. So you get another $55,000. So that could have gone on forever. That could have gone on forever. You keep on growing the thing. You keep on growing it. You keep on growing it. And then you make your stipulations in your contract to indicate that as a result of the inflation that's happening from a local and a global standpoint, it's a requirement to be able to ensure that we keep with the cost of living, with the requirement that's happening in these environments. We're looking to be able to do this. And this is a modest 10% because we have no forecast to make a determination of how this will happen in due time and due season. So we're locked in at 10%. Both parties agree. I agree. You agree. Sign. Boom. Hubert Ingram ain't do none of that. None of that. Hubert Ingram, leave the thing there, sign it, took care of them, turn his back, gone. Perry Christie came in knowing that the relationship that exists, because he was there, he was a part of the politics that existed around there, and he knows exactly, because Lyndon Pinland would have told him, and you know who else would have known also? Hubert Ingram. Hubert Ingram had proximity, and he had that level of interest, and he had that level of confidence in the former Prime Minister Lyndon Pinland that he would have known exactly the relationship that existed between the Port Authority and the PLP. Hubert Ingram came from the PLP and manipulated that relationship to ensure that it could be able to benefit him and eventually the Free National Movement. But it benefited him with his aspirations to be able to find himself nestled in a space of victory over the PLP, and more specifically, being able to grab the power from Lyndon Pinland. He needed to do that, and that's what happened. Don't even talk like this. Let's just be very, very clear about this. That's what happened. Now, 1969 was a strategic and a specific inflection in our country because it had already been rumored that these Negroes don't understand their position. And it wasn't only Stafford Sands who left the country. You know how much people left this country? You know how much people decided to leave the island of Nassau and find refuge in the beautiful islands of the Bahamas and places like Rain Turtle Key, in places like Marsh Harbor, in places like Spanish Wells, in places like Long Island. Come on, man. It wasn't the segregation that existed. We didn't tell them. We didn't banish them out into the abyss, into the darkness. We didn't cast them out and say, as a result of our leadership and our ruleship in this particular space, you are now cast out as a vagabond. They wasn't keen to us. They decided to seek refuge and space in these particular spaces, and they did well. They did well. Yeah. But when you go to a great deal of these communities, there is still segregation there. There is still segregation there. No matter what Rupert is saying in this particular capacity, there is still segregation that exists in these particular communities right here in Lyford Key. The wall that exists is to separate you from them, us from them. That's it. And you're scrambling to get behind a wall and don't understand history associated with these things. All you can see is a superficial, proverbial prestige. That's it. Oh my God, you know, it's expensive to live over there. Oh my God. You know, I live behind the gate. Silly. That's your money, that's your position, that's your family, that's your legacy, that's what you want to be. If that's what you want, go ahead. Do your thing. And nobody can fight you. Do your thing. But if you're not educated to understand what is required and what's being done in this particular capacity, that's just what it is. You're not educated to understand what is required and what's being done in this capacity. You're not. You're here, but you're not. You don't know. You don't know. The rumors had already been swirling around this sort of an idea that exists in these particular spaces. And the UBP did everything to be able to get to capture, to recapture, well, for the first time, because they had not been even informed. They hadn't even formed really as an organization just yet. But after the formation of their organization, you would have been able to hear things of how they see you. The stories go that they were trying to be able to manipulate people with bags of flour. This is what it is. Y'all learn this kind of let me bring you something concept and idea from the UBP. You didn't learn that from the PLP. The PLP, when they first came out, they came out with a hat in hand. Put $1 in here, please. Put $1 in here. Put $1 in here. The PLP make you to understand that they were grassroots. They were a part of a community. And there was an objective, and there was participation, and there was volunteerism, and there was activation, and there was identity, and there was masses and mass, and the massive crowds will continue to be able to flock around them. And there was this relentless teaching, and this education, and this liberation that surrounded the PLP that had been able to give people sight and understanding. But that didn't happen in Grand Bahama because Grand Bahama was separate and apart. Y'all didn't want to talk to me, and y'all don't want to talk to me. Y'all don't want to talk to me. Grand Bahama, isolated in this particular position after 1969, had this kind of a closed-off position from the Grand Bahama Port Authority, and the mindset for the majority of persons who would have been working for the Port Authority, working somewhere in proximity to the Port Authority, would have been influenced, would have been stained by this influence and idea of supremacy that existed here of the whites who had an allegiance to the Free National Movement, because it was a UBP. You didn't know why he was there for him. He was there for him because the concentration of power that existed in Grand Bahama, that they've taken on this kind of a concept of a quasi-government and find power within themselves and being able to capture the authority from the central government, and Lyndon Pinden leaving it alone. He didn't leave it. He didn't fight it no more, you know. He leave it alone because he had a bigger fight to deal with. He could go deal with the fight of people, the allegations of coke. So he just didn't fight this fight. Listen, this go deep, you know. This deeper than you all think. This too deep, you know. This deep. He got to deal with the allegations of coke would start to slide through the Bahamas, and how they could be able to pin that and skip all sorts of chains and individuals and found itself right to the allegations of leadership, which is Lyndon Pindon. In the midst and on the heels of what was happening in the United States of America, with its leadership from that particular standpoint, and how their leadership has been eradicated by the FBI and the CIA in the United States of America, and then all of a sudden the target has come full circle into the Bahamas. And Lyndon Pindon, again, with his big mouth, obviously, he wouldn't shut up. Goes on the American news and say, well, listen, you all got all this money in your country. And you all can't stop coke from coming in. Me and my little 200 and some thousand people, you think I could stop the coke from coming through these places? Our borders are porous. And that kind of a layman terms concept of being able to put simplicity to the table for you to be able to recognize the asininity and the approach that you've been able to take and identify and vilify a leader in our country simply because of his hue. Simply because of his hue. This is what you've done. You forge an alliance again with the damn Free National Movement and the UBP. Y'all don't want to talk like this. Several hats the Free National Movement wear. And Michael Pintat need not say anything about it. All he could do is shut up and listen when Hubert Ingram says what he has to say to him. Because Michael Pintat don't know. He don't know. And this would never come before him because he don't know. But in forging that relationship and the importance of being able to step into leadership for the Free National Movement, you had to hedge some agreements. You had to set up. You had to set up some things. And for Hubert Ingram to win, he needed more than just support because the PLP still had people around him because Lyndon Pindon was still Black Moses. And you had support. You had support to place you in a position that they could be able to put money behind your organization and support behind your organization by being able to perpetuate this sort of an idea associated with who is a corrupt organization. And that corruption has been lathered, not necessarily without fault, but definitely with embellishment. Jesus, y'all don't want me to talk to y'all today. Not without fault. The PLP is not innocent. Wherever there's fire, there's smoke. The allegations that's levied may not necessarily be 100% accurate, but somewhere, there's a truth somewhere in there. The PLP is not innocent in this particular capacity, but this is the level of politics in this country. And you need an opposition that has the strength to be able to deal with that. But the opposition now has tied its tentacles into the UBP, which tied its tentacles into spaces where they just get this Balco thing from and all these things happen now. These people, they tied it in to big money and big relationships from an external standpoint. Now all of a sudden, you on the Channel 7 News in the United States of America. Y'all don't understand how deep this thing is. This is too deep. This is too deep. There is a gulf that exists between the rich man and Lazarus. The rich man in this particular state would be the Free National Movement and the Grand Bahama Port Authority and the UBP and all those particular things. The rich man in this particular space would be the Free National Movement, and Lazarus would be the people of the Bahamas. And for this particular, the sake of this conversation, and for what we've seen from a traditional standpoint, the PLP, which is a socialist government and continues to be able to identify paths and ways that they could be able to empower the Bahamian people. The PLP. The PLP. So this gulf that exists between two has brought us to this position. And the Prime Minister and this New Day agenda has recognized that this sleeping dog needs to get the hell out of this room because this space is designed for growth, development, expansion of those persons who live in this space. And whilst everyone else in the country has liberty, access, and the freedom of movement to do as they please in their spaces and have access and opportunity, and they can be able to live Grand Bahamian people don't have that privilege. They're confined to a space. They're confined to East. They're confined to West. And though you've commandeered the central of Grand Bahama, you've not paid your dues. I agree. I agree with the arbitrators. I agree with them. $357 million is too little bit. Let's identify the mechanism and be able to make a calculation, a determination as to how much money has been depreciated, how much money has been unpaid in this particular capacity, and let's put inflation on that based upon what has happened over the years, especially in 2007, 2008, 2004, and what has happened in those particular years. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. And the people of the country need to be able to come with a civil suit. The people of the island. I had to leave Grand Bahama because the hotel closed down. I had to leave Grand Bahama because no opportunity. I had to leave Grand Bahama. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, let's join into this particular position and position. Y'all don't know what y'all doing. Y'all be joking, man. Y'all joking. This ain't got nothing to do with Rupert and Sarah. You know, Rupert and Sarah, figureheads. They represent families. When Rupert and Sarah go, or whether the family make a determination that one person have to leave, someone else to take over that particular business is no different than butlers. There's no different. There's no difference. The conglomerates that umbrella the Milo Butler group of companies or whatever the case may be, that conglomerate, they identify within themselves, within that family, who's going to take over this, who's going to do this, who's going to do that. That's just what it is. There's no difference in this particular scenario. And so I wouldn't row Frank Butler for an issue that Milo didn't deal with. Frank, who's sitting in this particular capacity as chairman over this or chairman over that or head over this or president over that or overseer or director, whatever his particular capacity is, I supposed to take and beat him with Milo Butler switch? No. This conglomerate is a whole different thing. However, we could approach this with a legality based upon the contractual agreement that exists before us. Contractually, there is a responsibility that you're supposed to undertake. There's no need to defend this with emotion. There's no need to get emotional. Contractually, this was what the responsibility was. Contractually. That's it. Everybody getting emotional trying to be able to identify what side you want. Whose side? Listen, I am on the side of Lazarus. I'm on the side of the poor man. I'm on the side of the community who wishes and hopes and prays and looks for an opportunity. I'm on the side of that. I'm on the side of the man who says, I'd like to be able to get my business in the center of the city where everybody's moving about to let them see the skills that I have. But now, how would I go to get paid $3,000 to get a license from the Port Authority? And the government ain't charging me $100 for my license. In fact, this year the government ain't charging me no money for license, but I can't produce and provide jobs and provide work in Grand Bahama because I am segregated, separated, and I don't have access. And so for me to be able to do that, I got to be able to try to convince a man, white or otherwise, to be able to come to the edge of 8 Mile Rock. Or come to Smith's Point where I could sell him a product under the auspices and guides of the government of the Bahamas. What the flip y'all talking about, boy? Y'all got to be crazy, boy. Y'all don't know nothing about Grand Bahama and don't know how things go. You keep talking, but you don't know. You don't know. You do not know. There is a geo fence around Freeport. And we're not allowed to do business in this space unless aligned with the Grand Bahama Port Authority in this particular capacity. The same 100 by 100 piece of property that I could buy in West Grand Bahama or East Grand Bahama and pay what I got to pay to ensure that I got to pay this amount on a year-to-year basis. I got to pay this on an annual basis. I got to do this, all these things. In Freeport, there's no concessions for a Negro. None. Not a flipping concession for niggas. None. There is no concessions for me. I got to pay them. The same payment is required anywhere under their particular rules, regulations that govern this particular space. For me to be able to get bonded gas, for me to be able to do this, for me to be able to get that bonded plate and can stay within the confines of Freeport or whatnot, I got to pay thousands of dollars a year. Thousands. And I on the same island. None. This ain't designed for me. This ain't designed for me. There was a level of prestige associated with the idea of the Grand Bahama Port Authority. But there's no balance here. And segregation has not died. Separation has not died. It's only changed its course. One time it's by the hue of your skin. You're too dark to get in here. Foundationally, the principle is that you're too dark to get in here. However, socially, from a political standpoint, from a social standpoint, it's just taboo and unheard of in this generation and dispensation to identify you by your hue. So they identify you by the color and the amount of your money. Yeah, so this is economic segregation. So they move you out economically. And they say, well, this property right here is a beautiful piece of property. This is going to be for $250,000 for this particular piece of property. It's a 25 by 25. Yes, well, you know, this is it's a hot ticket item. For this little piece of property? Yes, sir. That's the price that we're going to go. Yeah, suppose I'm a local and I want to be, no, definitely. You're a local? Oh, I'm sorry. For locals, this is actually $325,000. Economic segregation at almost every junction. No opportunity, no capital, nothing available to you and I. While the counterparts that you went to school with in Mary Star to see, your classmate, the same white children who you went to school with, the Catholic eye, Mary Star to see, Freeport eye, dumb as a damn doornail, dumb as a box of chalk. Even chalk is leave a little dust on you. Dumb as a box of nails. Use bent nails. Useless. They get access to these particular things. They get money. They get walk into the bank. They get all these particular things. There is segregation that exists in Grand Bahama. Now, what good for Peter should be good for Paul. And the FNM has no space to be able to agitate for these people unless you're benefiting from them. And I just stated that you are. The affiliation associated with and the relationship that is associated with whatever agreement that was shaked off on with a gentleman's agreement or signed off on between the Grand Bahama Port Authority and their former leadership, allegedly, apparently, has placed you, it's fastened you by the hips. And so you have no choice. And your agitation is just mere agitation. And for decades, they've been saying that your donors come from the Grand Bahama Port Authority and its shareholders. This is the allegations, social allegations and speculations about where the donors come from for the Free National Movement. And a great deal of time, the information indicates that this is your relationship and this is where the finances come from. That's why I don't understand. None of y'all never touch Freedom of Information Act. Y'all never touch campaign finance reform. Because you don't have the strength to be able to stand up and do what you're supposed to do. I am talking to you and I'm looking at these things. We talking and y'all joking me, man. I don't be into that, you know. You don't know your history. You only talking. Rupert in a position that he have to defend his last name. He was born into this last name. And so when he was born into this proverbial curse. Just like how all of us was born into sin. We didn't do a damn thing. When we was pushed out the womb, we had to deal with this damn thing before us. No choice. It's my guy. I ain't getting against him. He got no choice. No choice. Let's read it and see what Candia put in this paper. So it says, co-chairman of the Grand Bahama Port Authority, Rupert Haywood, and the Prime Minister, Philip B. Davis, both declared that on Thursday the Grand Bahama Port Authority is not going anywhere. But Davis pledged that under the administration, the Grand Bahama Port Authority will remain in Freeport under a new status quo and under clear rules. So the Prime Minister's desire is not to eradicate it, not to be able to cripple it, not to be able to sort of excavate it and be able to cast it into the sea of forgetfulness. I don't think that's what the Prime Minister's desires is. That's not what his desires are. Let's be very clear and balanced that there should be equality and there should be equity. There should be an opportunity that's carved out for those people who wish to be able to flourish in this space. There should be consideration. And none of this is happening. None of it is happening. And so the Prime Minister released a public letter to Haywood, again, vowing that the government's determination to exert full authority over Freeport in the wake of a recent arbitration tribunal ruling on Grand Bahama Port Authority related matters. His letter was released after Haywood sent the media an open letter to Davis. A day earlier, the Prime Minister told Parliament that he is not prepared to live with an arrangement where two families decide the fate of tens of thousands of Bahamians in Freeport without clear rules and proper accountability. I agree with him. I agree with the Prime Minister 100%. I agree with the Prime Minister 100%. We've been living under the status quo for so long that this is it. Some of these things are just known. They're not necessarily even, they're not etched in the confines of an agreement per se. They're not etched in stone to say that this is what the expectations are. But this is what it is. And then Haywood claimed that the Prime Minister's painted his family as outsiders. He said that the characterization of his family as somehow standing against the sovereignty of the Bahamas and Freeport is deeply painful and hurtful. I agree with you, Rupert. I can't fight you, Rupert. Rupert, you's my guy. You's my boy. I ain't gonna fight you, Rupert. I know your heart and you want to do the right thing. You got your beautiful little family and you want to do some things just like me. All of us want to do the right thing, but you got a heavy responsibility on your shoulder. And you don't want to diminish your name because that name, somebody else got to wear that. Your children got to wear that. Your children got to wear that. And it cannot be wrinkled by you and your state. Okay. You can't allow anyone or anything to diminish your name and the value of the name in this country during your time that you're holding the reins. I accept that. I'm not going to fight you. You got to be able to defend your name. Yeah. My uncle tell me, and they remember you from a little boy playing on the beach and whatnot. We used to go up by Silver Sands and swim every day. My uncle used to be doing laps every day. And we remember you all. We ain't gonna fight you. We used to go up in Freeport all the time. Hey, we're not gonna fight you. We're not gonna fight you. The characterization and idea is not necessarily to be able to put on you as an individual. But, for the most part, you may have a paperweight. That's what it is. When you get something just to kind of hold down something, there may be a paperweight. Your name has this proverbial paperweight in Grand Bahama, but your experiences, the way you grow, the way you have global experiences, world experiences, this sort of a universal experience, and you continue to be able to travel, there is an indication that your anchor may not necessarily be the Bahamas. The opportunities that you have the world over It's not always the opportunities that a great deal of people have, but I understand what you're saying. I'm not going to fight what you're saying. I take your side on that. It's deeply painful and hurtful. Okay. Hayward appealed for respect and fairness from Davis and called for the government and the port. Let's go to A6. For the government and the Port Authority to work together in the advanced interest of Freeport. The Grand Bahama Port Authority is not going anywhere, and the government of the Bahamas is not going anywhere. And the reality is that we must work together for the betterment of the people of Freeport, Grand Bahama. And while there may be a temptation, particularly in the moments when elections approach, to lean into populist rhetoric. Now I want to stretch this out far and wide. I don't agree with you here, Rupert. Whoever write this for you, wrong, and obviously don't understand local politics. To say the word populist rhetoric. Let's get a couple of things straight. Okay? I can hit it for you right now. All right? He said, and while there may be a temptation, particularly in moments when elections approach, to lean into populist rhetoric, we must remember that the office of the Prime Minister represents all Bahamians, not only those of a particular political persuasion. That's what he says. Now let's deal with this, Rupert. Let's deal with this. First and foremost, let's get to a definition first, because I want all of us to be on the same page as to the intention of the word, the meaning of the word, as opposed to being able to give a presumed position of what those words can be. Let's get to the core meaning of these particular things. All right, so it's a populism, a political approach that claims to champion the common people. A political approach that claims to champion the common people against the perceived corrupt elite. Against the perceived corrupt elite. It isn't tied to a specific side of the political spectrum. Both left-wing and right-wing movements use it to mobilize voters who feel ignored by the establishment. Key characteristics include the us versus them divide. Anti-establishment rhetoric, characterism, leadership often led by a strong figure who claims to be the only one capable of representing the true will of the people. And then simplification, offering straightforward, often dramatic solutions to complex societal or economic problems to appeal to mass emotions. Let's just deal with this very clear. The Progressive Liberal Party has always been a populist party. That's what they do. The perpetuation or amplification of that sort of a populist language rhetoric that's been returned to this particular space is not that it is not always represented the PLP. It is that former leadership sought to be able to travel the lines of political niceties. And there's sort of an idea of being able to ensure that you had that diplomatic immunity of being able to get into the uncomfortable space. That's Perry Christie. Perry Christie will not trouble the water of the indifference that existed between the PLP and the Grand Bahama Port Authority. That was not his challenge. He was not going to take that on. He's not going to take that on. The Free National Movement has never been a populist party, a party that actually speaks to the mass majority, to the population, to the majority of people, to the common man, to the common people. The Free National Movement has never appealed to that. The Free National Movement has always been an alternative, the only viable, financially capable, sustained position in this country against the PLP. That's it. That's all the Free National Movement has ever been. The Free National Movement has been a financially endowed organization, strategically placed and fueled by the oligarchs' finances that provides an alternative to the Progressive Liberal Party's lack of focus and commitment to the promises that they would have made to the Bahamian people. Let's just be very clear about it. The PLP promised they can do this. They say they can do that. They can do all these things. They ain't do it. The people of the Bahamas looking for someplace else to go. Boom, here is the Free National Movement. You're not choosing the Free National Movement merely because they're presenting you with this great opportunity, concepts, ideas of what can happen going forward. They are the only viable choice in this democracy that is financially capable and experience, exposed, and understand leadership in this country. That's just what it is. If there was to come, if the DNA had financial endowment, if they had financial capability, they would have been the royal opposition right now and eradicated the Free National Movement. If the DNA had the financial wherewithal right now, because they had a message, the DNA had a message. The DNA had a vision. They articulated it. The DNA had more than just merely being able to stand before you and oppose for the sake of opposing. Because that's all this conversation is. Oppose for the sake of opposing. The PLP is a popular organization amongst it is the organization for the grassroots, and the only reason that Grand Bahamians don't identify them in that particular way and don't champion them in that way is simply because the Port Authority has created an environment that persons could be able to have a job and take care of themselves. The Port Authority gave Grand Bahamians a level of pride that they didn't have to grovel at the feet of the government and ask them for things. But in Nassau, those persons who were still living over the hill, who didn't have mass projects, who didn't have these great things, who still worked at this sort of an position that they went over the hill and worked for the white people and clean up their house and so forth and so on, go back over the hill and lived in this particular capacity, didn't have an opportunity to go to the Savoy Plaza, all these things. This was liberation for the populist in Nassau. That's just what it is. This was liberation for the populist in Nassau. For the masses in Nassau who didn't have no place to stay, who was living in these little places, who the roads was too small for them. Nassau didn't see significant growth and development for some time. There is still a conversation that exists here and says that Grand Bahamian people had running water and cable television and satellite and this and that, and there was a level of pride that existed in Grand Bahama, not because they did this for black Bahamians, but we benefited from an environment that they created for those persons to come in. We benefited from it. And that benefiting posture fill our head with some foolishness. And we supported who they supported. The PLP is a populist party. the revival of this concept and this position and idea of what existed in this particular space, it is noble. It's noble because this is unresolved. And whether you like to be able to tiptoe around it, reject the idea, or look past the idea, the fact is that there is an uncomfortable, eerie feel that exists between the two. Between the Grand Bahama Port Authority and the people, the black people of Grand Bahama, the working class, the poor, the lower middle class people that exist in Grand Bahama. A lot of persons who moved from East Grand Bahama as a result of the storm that moved them out. A lot of persons who moved out of Grand Bahama as a result of the economic storm that pushed them out are now living experiences that are 2, 3, 4 decades, a generation behind a great deal of people who live in the center of Nassau and Family Islands. Because we never, oh my God, I never had to do this. I never had to do this. Now, people in West Grand Bahama have a different experience. People in East Grand Bahama have a different experience, but for those persons who are in Freeport, who had to leave their house in Bahamia and who had to leave their house in these nice, prestigious areas for the very first time, after they would have committed so much, who had to leave their house, are now feeling the pinch and understanding the government's responsibility or what the government's supposed to do. You didn't worry about it before. Now you're holding placards up talking about the electricity bill too high. Who does regulate Grand Bahama Port Authority? Who does regulate Grand Bahama Power? Why does Grand Bahama Power have to be able to have the whole island? Why didn't it break up the monotony of being able to do this monopoly associated with it? Now, the economic crunch that exists here, the lack of prosperity, because there was a time that we was making good money in Grand Bahama. And because that doesn't exist anymore, let's do this. This populist rhetoric is exactly the rhetoric that needs to be able to be spoken and that will be spoken to ensure that he gets the support from the people. Because this transformation will not happen by an administration. It will happen by the people. And if he seeks to be able to deal with this before the next general election, this is going to be peculiar. Because there's no stop, review, and cancel in this particular position without being able to identify the Free National Movement exactly for who they are. This modification doesn't have to be difficult. This shift doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't have to have these labels that exist and banners that run in the forefront of this. These banners that are forerunners to make you to feel like there is a disdain, a dislike that exists in you. No, there is only right sizing. This is only right sizing. And for the most part, what I recognize is that our fathers have a responsibility to be able to deal with the indifference of their business, occupational, and their philanthropic and enterprise positions. They have a responsibility of being, this is a lesson to me. I can't leave nothing undone. I got to seal up these particular things. My son shouldn't have to deal with, or the next generation should not have to deal with some indifference that I would have had with a particular person during a time. Especially if we have to work together. That's all this is. And so I read that I don't disagree. I don't agree with you on that particular. The populist rhetoric must be able to be perpetuated. The populist rhetoric is what's going to rally those people to support him and to be able to get that support from the Bahamian people to make the change that's necessary. This kind of a question as to whether or not how much money did they have to spend and being able to pursue $327 million, all this kind of money. Yes, they spent the money. They spent the money not for the purposes of being able to capture $357 million. That would have been beautiful. But they spent their money to ensure that we could be able to retain the autonomy, the strength, and the sovereignty that exists for us and to us in this space. You have slowly but surely, year by year, decade by decade, chipped against the edges of that agreement. And whilst people look past it, you continue to be able to operate as though this was okay. You didn't perform and wasn't transparent and forthcoming because no one held you to account. You didn't pay in 1999 because no one held you to account. No one said, hey, weren't we supposed to have a meeting? Because no one held you to account. And if the government is not going to hold you to be accountable in this particular capacity, you will operate as though you always had, without accountability. That's all this is. This is social accountability. That's what this is. So on that fundamental goal, we should be aligned. I therefore hope that even in moments of political disagreement, that we can speak about one another with fairness and respect, and reorganize the shared commitment we both hold to the prosperity and sovereignty of the Bahamas. I remain first and foremost a proud Bahamian, committed to the future of Grand Bahama and to the people who call it home. But in his response, the Prime Minister stated that he was never questioned Haywood's nationality and does not know his political persuasion, and added that the government's position relating to the port is nothing personal. I agree with the Prime Minister. Under the Hawkesbury Creek Agreement, first signed in 1955 and amended from time to time, the Port Authority, which is jointly owned by St. George's and the Haywood family, has served as a municipal authority in Freeport, the second largest city in the Bahamas. Davis addressed Parliament on Wednesday on the decision for the Arbitration Tribunal, which rejected the government's claim that the Grand Bahama Port Authority owed $357 million in reimbursement for services rendered to the port area of Grand Bahama. The tribunal did find that the government is entitled to payments under the amended 1994 Hawkesbury Creek Agreement after annual review are conducted. The Grand Bahama Port Authority had contended by way of a counterclaim that it is entitled to damages arising from the government's alleged breaches of certain obligations contained in the Hawkesbury Creek Agreement. The government says that the Grand Bahama Port Authority had sought $1 billion in damages. The tribunal rejected 7 of the 8 counterclaims the Grand Bahama Port Authority had, seeking to assert full authority over the governance of Freeport. That's crazy, isn't it? Seeking to assert full authority over the governance of Freeport. In this open letter on Thursday, the Prime Minister said that the issue, oh my God, we will after two, that the issue is the position taken by the Grand Bahama Port Authority, in which your family is a major shareholder, about its standing in Freeport and its relationship in the government and the people of the Bahamas. Through public statements and in the arbitration, the Port Authority advanced a view of itself that no responsible government can accept. It claimed the degree of control in Freeport that would place the private company above the elected government. It reinstated the position that substantial sums are owed to the public purse. It argued that concessions under the Hawkesbury Creek Agreement allow it to limit allow it to limit the reach of Bahamian law in areas such as licensing and immigration, customs, utilities, foreign land purchases, and environmental regulations. When all of the legal drafting is stripped away, the Port Authority's case was simple. It wished to declare how Freeport is governed. It wished to keep the power in private hands. And I'd like to add this. It wished to perpetuate and fortify that proverbial Jericho wall of segregation. The Port Authority went further. It counterclaimed, insisting that it had the right to control, without government intrusion, the licensing of businesses, immigration and customs, and the utilities, and that the government was diverting investments elsewhere on Grand Bahama. It claimed damages for such intrusion in the amount of $1 billion. The Prime Minister said that in taking the matter to arbitration, the government was mindful of St. Lyndon Pinnan's 1969 Bend or Break speech, in which the then Prime Minister spoke to Grand Bahama of an unbending social order, which, if it refused to bend, must be broken. Davis vowed to break the Grand Bahama Port Authority order. He said that in Parliament on Wednesday, the old order in which private investments claim the right to sit above Bahamian law is coming to an end. We will break that order. We will replace it with one in which Bahamian sovereignty is real in Freeport, and which self-determination is a lived reality for the people who call that island home. Hayward appears to have taken offense to the Prime Minister's statement regarding how the families who own the Grand Bahama Port Authority have been overseeing Freeport's affairs. Why? It's simple. Anyway, that's the end of that, guys. I want to thank you so kindly for being able to tune in with us. This saga continues. I'm sure that we're going to be able to talk about it a little bit more about these particular things. And Anthony Christie's in the paper talking about fuel hedging will protect against volatility and amid Iran war. When you guys watch Thingham tonight, when you watch the rundown this evening, you'll be able to see a conversation that we had with Gowan Bowe. We had a very good conversation with Gowan Bowe, and he talked about fuel hedging and the importance of government being able to lock in a price now and being able to take that risk to ensure that the safekeeping of the Bahamas. The Prime Minister has already made an allegiance and a pledge to the Bahamian people that your electricity bill will not rise. Now, in the event that we don't do hedging, in the event that we don't have this sort of a fixed price in, that bill, if it's not being able to be translated in our pockets in terms of being able to rise, it will be translated in taxes, and those taxes can be able to be applied to further generations, future generations. It's been a great conversation. I want to thank you guys so very kindly for this. I see that you can see that I am passionate about Grand Bahama and being able to talk about some stuff in those ways. And being able to identify this, all right. I look forward to having a good conversation with y'all and being able to jam with y'all on Monday. Peter, the pumpkin eater, Peter, F&M Peter. Says his daughter Amanda's birthday is today. Happy birthday to Amanda. Happy birthday, Amanda. I pray that the Father continues to be able to bless you. And I pray that the Father continues to be able to bless your daddy, open his eyes as he continues to vote for F&M, right? Guys, enjoy your day, man. Have a beautiful, beautiful weekend. And I want to thank you so very kindly for being able to be here with us today as we continue to jam with you right out here in the land of the living. Do a great thing, man. Carry your little sweet thing out this weekend. Make sure you can be able to carry her out and tell her enjoy herself out here. All right. So Friday evening, guys, I want you guys to enjoy yourself and have a beautiful time out there in the city. Wherever you are.
You know man have to come new brand. Hit him. Nobody move, nobody get hurt. Nobody move, nobody get hurt. The youth them just a dress up in a white collar shirt, and some of them wear till it resemble dirt. He said he want me to join the army.
Guys, have a beautiful weekend, man. Enjoy yourselves. I'm going to see you. I guess I got to go be able to do some more birthday stuff with this woman. Jesus God. You can have a beautiful time, man. Enjoy yourselves.
He said, what is your number? I didn't answer. What is your number? I still don't answer.
I have a dream where the powerful and the powerless will sit at the same table, where the haves will see the have-nots, not as burdens, but as brothers, where class will not divide us, but conviction will unite us. I have a dream that the oligarchs will remember we must all eat, that the brown-faced neo-colonialists will remember who they are and whose they are. I have a dream that fraternities will build beyond internal architecture into a national bond, that the walls of design will give way to the bridges of brotherhood, not a fraternity of symbol, but a brotherhood of substance. I have a dream that we remain focused, that we stay in our conviction and remain fearless, that we double down, fortified, to return this Bahama land to the foundation.